Well, happy 4th of July to all my fellow Americans, or, if you're not American, happy 4th of July anyway. Just in time, my Roku's decided to overheat. Well, actually, they've been doing this for a few months actually, and I did pretty much what anybody would do and just ignored it. And a little warning came up on the screen. It was like up here somewhere. I just kind of ignored it. And then it started locking up and rebooting on its own, and well, obviously at that point that's no good. You gotta fix it. Now I thought about just throwing them out and buying new ones because I haven't even looked, but I know these ones were like $30 a piece, maybe $30-$40. But I wound up taking this one apart and I fixed it. And you could tell, I don't know if you can see there's just little dudges from the screwdriver, but I don't really care as long as it works. So what I'm going to do is take this one apart now and fix this one the way I did this one and show you what I did. What you're supposed to do, you're supposed to use, when you're dealing with plastic, is use plastic pry tools. I hate these things. They don't work. So I'm just going to use metal screwdrivers. I used this one last time. Let me try this one this time. See if this works. So really what I want to do is, this is the bottom of it. I just want to get in between, because you got to take this piece off here. And I'm just going to get in between there and pry. And this one doesn't work, so we're just going to use this one, which is bigger, which you wouldn't think would work, but there we go. Look at that. And then just pry it the whole way down. And it pops off. Look at that. And that's the inside of it. You can try pulling. The problem, there we go. I was going to say, sometimes what you can do is just push down on the HDMI very gently. Now you can tell when you look at this, the thermal design of this is terrible. There's no air vents whatsoever. There's no air flowing through this. And what they use is this tin RF shield, also as a heatsink. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a piece, looks like it's spot welded to the top. And we got to get that off. So what I find is just get the corners away. You want to be careful not to hit any of the surface mounted devices. You don't want to pry them off the board. See if we can use this one. And it's hard to do under the camera because it's not up in my face. There we go. So I'm gonna kind of just pry the side off and work my way down. And eventually it'll just pop off. Just gotta be kind of gentle with it, but there you go. And that's the inside. You'll notice there's a thermal pad. And some people might say, oh, I'll just throw some thermal paste on there and put it back together again. No. The problem with these is this, and I'll show you. This piece here doesn't actually touch the CPU or the chip. There's a gap, so you need to have a pad there. And I'm just going to clear all this off. This is more like thermal paste or toothpaste. It's disgusting. And if there's, I'm not sure how well the microphone's picking this up, but if there's noise in the background, I'm sorry, I have the air conditioner on. It's hot. I thought about turning it off for this video, but nope. Yeah, I'm just going to use a little isopropyl. Get as much of this crap out of here as possible. Also want to clean this off and use a little isopropyl on Q-tip. You want to get this as clean as possible. You want to get as much of that garbage as off of there. And if you've ever done this with a CPU, it's no different. It's just, you got to clean this up so you can add something new to it. You see all the gum coming off. And the reason it's like that is because it's got to get into all the little pits and craters that we can't really see with our eye. But it's the same thing as thermal paste or thermal compound. That's what it does. It gets into the little pits of the metal or the heat sink. And that's what we need to get this out of. And I think when they build these, they build them so they expect only a few years of use out of them, and then they can sell another one. And I think that's indicative of just about anything these days. They don't build anything to last like they used to. This part here is easy. This is just metal, so it comes off very easy. A little isopropyl on there, it comes right off. You can also use for this side, not this side, but for this side you can use acetone, which really works well. But this part here doesn't actually touch this chip when you put it back together. So I even tried using thermal paste. I didn't think it was going to work, but I put a little dab of thermal paste, put it together, and then I pried it back off, and there was still a dab of thermal paste there. It wasn't actually smushed down or anything. So you need to use a thermal pad. There are different types of thermal pads you can get. You can get something similar that's in there. I don't have any of that, so I can't put a link in the description. There is like this type of thermal pad, but this, if you can see this little hole, this is more for like transistors and such. They don't work as well for this type of thing. At least I don't think they would. I'm not even going to try it. So what I have instead is this, and this is not the right thing to use, but it works. Thermal tape. It's double-sided thermal tape, and you would use this if you had a Raspberry Pi and you had to, essentially affix a heatsink to the CPU of the Raspberry Pi. The problem with this is it's too thin. So what I wound up doing is using two pieces on top of each other. Now, that's not the right way to do that. You're not supposed to do that. And I didn't think it was going to work, I'll be honest with you. But I did it, and it worked. So I'm going to do it again. I might be cutting way too big of a piece. Now, this stuff I got from Adafruit. I would not recommend ordering from there. Customer service is absolutely terrible, and the prices are just insane. And it was one of those things where I was ordering something else, I needed this stuff, it was there, and I just went, whatever, I'll just order it, who cares. Yes, I'm paying, 300% markup fee, but it was just more of a convenience thing. So you take, there's little plastic pieces on each side. It doesn't have to be perfectly fit as long as it covers it. And then take this side off. There we go. And just peel that off. I know that wasn't the perfect way, but it worked. And now we get to do it all over again with the second one. And then once you get the second one on, before you take the top off, I just like to push it all down, make sure it's kind of seated. And then we could probably try using the screwdriver this time. Yeah, screwdriver works so much better. And then just peel the top layer off. And I wear these gloves because this crap gets everywhere. The thermal paste, even though I'm not dealing with thermal paste, the thermal compound that was on there, gets everywhere. So I just put gloves on. And I'm just going to push this down, make sure it's seated. All right, and make sure. So you want to make sure that this part here is as clean as possible. It doesn't look like it is on camera, but I went over that with ISO and some paper towels quite a few times. And then just put this back on and squeeze it down. And that's it. That's all you got to do. And hopefully, at least if you're using what I'm using, which it's, I don't know, at the time it was 1468A was the part number for Adafruit, but just use thermal tape or the proper way to do it would be a thermal pad. But this seems to work just fine, although I wouldn't recommend doubling this up. This is not how this stuff's supposed to work. It worked for me. I wouldn't do it anywhere else, but I did this one night when it was overheating. I thought I'll just give it a shot. Haven't had a single problem with it since. So then you just put this back in. And I don't, actually, you know what, there is a direction this has to go in. I'm sorry, my fault. It's going in backwards. There's little clips or little notches taken out of the board. They have to match up with these things here. My fault. It just goes back in. Now you'll notice just a little bit of scratching right there on the bottom where I put the screwdriver in there. I don't care about that. It's either that or fight with one of these, trying to get one of these under there. And there's other plastic tools that you can get. Where did I put it? Right here. Here's one. It's just a plastic spudger you can stick in there, and it's just easier with metal. It just pierces the plastic. It gets in there, does what it has to do. It leaves a little mark. I truly don't care because I don't look at this. Now, I've thought about possibly taking a wheel and cutting some slits in here, and then maybe cutting a few slits up top, just to let some airflow through here. But after doing this, at least on this one, the problems just completely went away. And this thing used to get really hot. And I mean really hot. Ever since I did it, it gets warm, but nothing like that. So, it seems to be working, even though I would imagine it would still be at the same temperature because the air's not going anywhere, but whatever. We're not going to go there. So, I could show you this working, but, there's really not much to show. It just works. So, if you have any questions, leave it in the comments. But that's really it. It's instead of going out and buying a new one, that's all you need to do. Just order just a small thing of thermal tape or a thermal pad, which you probably already have on hand, and put it in place, and you're good to go. So, I have another video coming out. I'm in the middle of editing it. I should have it out hopefully by the end of this week. Middle to the end of this week. I'm working on it today. And I'll see you next time. Have a good one.